actually has a more plot twist than episode of Empire, because just 3 weeks after being indicted on 16 felony counts for allegedly faking a hate crime, the case against him has been dropped. Here's what Smollett, is it Smollett or Smollett? Smollett said, here's what he said about it yesterday. Watch.
I've been truthful and consistent on every single level since day one. I would not be my mother's son if I was capable of one drop of what I've been accused of. This has been an incredibly difficult time, honestly one of the worst of my entire life. But I'm a man of faith, and I'm a man that has knowledge of my history, and I would not bring my family, our lives, or the movement through a fire like this.
Now, prosecutors still say they don't think he's innocent, but he's doubling down on his claims he told the truth. So what do you ladies make of all this?
We should start with the lawyer.
We got two of them here. If she wants,
it's just, no pressure.
It's a little confusing to me because cases are dismissed all the time, and I remember doing it myself. You null prosit, which is just Latin for dismissing it, and you do it for a variety of reasons. After indictment, because you've reached a deal. You do it because you don't want to spend resources on it. You do it because someone is not really a violent offender, and you figure this is just the best way to dispose of it. But in this case, what just seems strange to me is that you have the police department feeling like they were blindsided by it, and it's usually a team effort because you have the prosecution, you have the police department, you work as a team, and we're talking about 16 counts in an indictment and tremendous amounts of police resources spent on it. And at the end of the day, the case has been sealed, $10,000 in restitution has been paid, 2 days of community service, and every single side is claiming victory. You have Jussie saying, I did nothing wrong. You have the police department furious. They're saying, we did everything right.
So
he's guilty.
Not having enough, did they not have enough evidence? Is that what it was?
No one knows, because the police department is saying we had enough evidence. The prosecution is saying he's not exonerated. We believed in our case. And Jussie's saying, I did nothing wrong. I told the truth. So what the heck happened?
This is one of the strangest stories I've ever tried to follow.
Right.
I think he's one incredibly lucky duck. I personally don't buy it. I think if he didn't have the money that he had to pay for the lawyer, Garagos, right? Isn't that the person that at least did in the team? Mm-hmm. And if he wasn't a well-known person, I don't know that he would be sitting here right now in the position he's in. Remember, we had Gavin Newsom on, the California governor. He said, it's better to be rich and guilty than poor and innocent. And that has stuck with me. And I just think about what's going on now, and it doesn't sit well with me. The prosecutor is saying that he still believes he lied to police.
But because he's famous and because we've been talking about it, he's been tried already by public opinion. And I think most of us have made a decision one way or the other. The truth is that if he hadn't been rich and famous,
but still black.
The police probably would not have put $150,000 of resources into solving the case within days in Chicago, a place that is, that's deluged with very serious crimes. I think they made a choice because they realized that they couldn't prove it. Sometimes there is evidence. Sometimes people are guilty of criminality, but if you can't prove it, some folks decide not to prosecute. Sound familiar?
Yeah.
So, it would have been spending a lot more resources and a lot more money and man hours on trying to try a case that perhaps was not provable when they have other officials.
Senator Harris says, I'm completely confused. I don't understand. I don't know. I'm with Senator Harris on this one. I will say Chicago, as you just pointed out, spent $150,000 on this case. That money could have been spent fighting all the violent crimes that are going on in Chicago that are absolutely raging the city. The children who are being shot just sitting in their car. So my anger is, he completely politicized this when he was on with our own Robin Roberts and said, I go after 45 hard. So do I, but I'm not being beat up in the streets. 45 meaning President Trump. And he completely politicized this at a time when our country is ripping itself apart in every way. He made this about MAGA hats. He made this about Trump supporters. He made this about the political divisions in the country. I don't know what was just said, but that is what he made it about. And that was where I always had a problem. And had he extracted politics from it and said, said, I got beat up in the street for X. I probably would have found it more believable. But 2 o'clock in the morning, a bunch of guys with MAGA hats beating you up, I just thought it was strange from day one.
Well, the problem is that if that ever does really happen to somebody, no one's going to believe it. This is the case of crying wolf.
Yeah.
So
I think the other piece of it is that, and I said this before, the Chicago Police Department has been rife with problems for a long time, and that's why the Chicago superintendent is there in the first place. There has been a lot of discrimination claims made against the Chicago Police Department in terms of, discrimination and policing black and brown bodies very differently in Chicago than they've policed other people. And so I think there is that added layer here.
But everything about this, Sonny, is...
Sorry, do you think he's being treated differently because he's a person of color?
No, not at all. That's not my point. My point is that they didn't necessarily, in the eyes of many, come to this with clean hands. And so I think there's this, see, people in the audience are nodding their heads. So I think there's this extra layer there that made this case much more complicated.
I think he was treated differently at the beginning during the investigation because he was famous.
Of his celebrity.
Because of his celebrity, because they wanted to solve this case. But then, right now, actually, I think he's being treated like probably anybody else would be treated because, if it was a case that they could not prove a case where there was not a murder, where there was not a heinous crime, they probably wouldn't.
So everything about this, though, it seems unprecedented. I'm not a lawyer, but from the moment he came out and did that public interview, and then we all watched that press conference with police, and they were emotionally angry.
Well, let's watch it.
We do have some of that.
Let's watch it. Yeah, go ahead.
Do I think justice was served? No. Where do I think justice is? I think this city is still owed an apology.
He used the laws of the hate crime legislation that all of us collectively over years have put on the books to stand up to be the values that embody what we believe in. This is a whitewash of justice.
But there's a reason, I think, why we all feel so confused here. Because when we watched that, we were angry with the police. We were angry that there isn't the focus on so many other crimes and people's lives that are lost in Chicago.
At this point, I'm just trying to figure out who's going to play who in the made-for-TV movie.
That will happen.
And I think what's getting lost here, and I hope it isn't getting lost, is that, bottom line, there has been an increase in hate crimes in our country and around the world. And I hope what doesn't happen, right? And I hope what doesn't happen is that there's a chilling effect when people want to come forward and this happens to them, that they do come forward and that we believe them, because that is extremely important.
The FBI stats show the number of hate crimes reported rose about 17% in 2017 compared to 2016.
But why doesn't Jussie
half of
speak
those
to that,
crimes are not even reported. Half of the hate crimes are not reported by
and he maintains his innocence, and we have to remember that people are innocent until proven guilty. And that is the presumption in this country.
Okay, but I think, as Anna said, in the court of public opinion, people have made their decisions.
So coming up, next segment, will Joe Biden's apology for mishandling Anita Hill's sexual harassment claims be enough if he runs in 2020? That's next.